Hi, hello, and welcome to. Hi, hello, and welcome. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Serene Pieces of Blosi. I'll be your oracle today. I had a bit of a snafu, okay, with the previous recording. I got 2.5 plus minutes in, and there was a snafu. So we're just gonna start again. I had the little 2-something minute to like work with it, and it got away from me. So I was doing a round of love readings, and I was apologizing because I'm late on one of the love videos, like the cast to the public. Things are very dramatic right now, so I'm needing to rest a lot, which is fine. That's the story of my life. Okay, so moving on from that. The energy, the intention around the reading was like, because there was like one about no if somebody returns. This one is about maybe if somebody returns, and we just got to be about that. So I got heart-to-heart communications. So I personally would advise no, but there are going to be times and circumstances where a person is like, listen, I know I was a punk pansy, let's see, Issa-ish, and I'm sorry about that. I've been working on myself. I know what behavior led to what outcome. I've made steps, taken steps to overcorrect or to remedy or to be hypervigilant about either preventing that outcome in the future or exhibiting that behavior again. I've been doing my work. Here's how I've been doing my work, and I'm aware of what happened in the past, what behavior led to what outcome, where it caused a separation, otherwise known as not being able to heal together, healing apart versus healing together. So to me, if it's not a flow, it's not a go. Second of all, if it's not an overwhelming yes, then it's a no, especially when it comes to love situations. Now, I do want to give a caveat of you need to look for qualities. You need to be at the vibration exhibiting the things that you want, so that you can attract what you want, okay? Because there's no perfection in a relationship, meaning if you attract somebody with the qualities and they're willing to grow together and work towards the union of the relationship, then yeah, you gotta try it. You gotta incorporate that energy and see if you can make something happen. But if you get with somebody and you're trying to fix them and not fix the relationship, that's a problem. They should show up healed or healing. You should show up healing, and then you guys heal the relationship, meaning they work on themselves, you work on yourself, and you guys work on the relationship together. Because if you break up with them, you're not breaking up with them, you're leaving the relationship, you're not leaving them, okay? It's a misnomer, excuse me. Now, I don't wanna say like you need to, excuse me, if I bump the mic or the camera or whatever, I don't wanna say that, condone toxic behavior or la-di-da, yada, yada. I'm just saying, like, if you make a person a plan, if you prioritize a person and not spirit, so your intimate union is a spiritual union that anchors into the physical through a member of the soul group, okay? So that's really what I'm saying. Like, there's some components, there's some calculus, there's some structure around a relationship. And if you're out of alignment with this concept and idea, you're still somewhat in a healing process. You may be 3D instead of 5D, you may be unhealed, you may be in some type of toxic cycle, still have a wounded inner child. It's going to be different stuff for different folks, but the same energy is either divine connection or distorted connection. Okay, so there's somebody returning, heart-to-heart communications. Even if we don't get in this connection, which I'm feeling for a lot of us, we don't. Where we're at right now is that there's going to be a few times and circumstances where we give closure. Now, closure is, again, I guess this is a teaching. Closure is something you give yourself. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself, okay? However, in this situation, the other person might need to be forgiven. That's really a pardon where you say, it's okay what happened, and understand, okay, it's okay what happened. That's a pardon. I know we're using the word forgiveness. It's a misnomer. It's a maladaptive, idiosyncratic, perfunctory, extemporaneous understanding of this concept and idea. It's inaccurate how it's being used on large in society today. If you happen to be the exception, not the rule, then good on you. You're at an above average pace of healing. And that means you're on a higher road, good on you, boo. But when you hear forgiveness, usually it's misused. Forgiveness is talking about a pardon, because forgiveness is something you give yourself. You have to forgive yourself on who you have to be to get to where you are, recognizing it. You don't need to be that person anymore. And wherever you're going, you don't need to exhibit that behavior to get to where you're going, even if where you're trying to get to today, currently, presently, is not clear. You don't need to have all the answers. What you need to do is consistently realign into your own frequency, energy, vibration. That's why I'm saying if it's not a flow, it's not a go. It just means it's not a vibrational match, okay? Because you're either growing together or you're growing apart, and both are okay. What's not okay is when it's by accident, meaning lacking in intention. All right. So this forgiveness thing, it's a pardon, number one. And number two, there needs to be some type of closure, or they're asking for closure, and we may provide that to them. But remember, no is a full sentence, no, period. Now, if they're effing you, feeding you, financing you, you might want to be fornicating with you. You might want to provide a small explanation, 1 or 2 sentences. The third sentence, you're lowering your vibration, you're getting off the throne. After the 4th sentence, you've even removed your crown from your head. No, I don't want to. That's an explanation, because really the only thing you need to say is no and move on. Now you can move on by changing the subject, you can move on by withdrawing your energy, you can move on, meaning into the next sentence, which is creating a boundary. And understand that none of that deep, don't go deep. You don't need to define, explain, you don't need to extrapolate, you don't need to personalize, you don't need to do any of those things. You see how there's a model here, there's some technology here, some theories, techniques, technologies, some system structures, foundations, means, mechanisms, methodologies. There's a model here. So the system structure foundation is to be alive inside, know who you are, know what you want, know what you're going out into the world to accomplish. That's probably a product of having your sacred calling, your divine mission somewhat intact, okay? Because if all these things you ain't got going on, that means you're distorted or unhealed, or you have a wounded inner child still. And that just means, because it doesn't matter if that's the case, but you gotta own it. I'm still wounded. I'm still in my trauma. I'm still going through it and processing, even if it's from 10, 20, 30 years ago. If you can say these things and own it, it's a different story, okay? But if you don't have all the abstract versions of these things going on, your sacred mission, your divine calling, your spirit karma life path destiny, if you don't know who you are, what you're about, what's alive inside, then how are you going to manifest that and attract it? Okay, then your connections are going to be distorted versus divine, because we have this heart-to-heart communication. Some person's going to come back and need closure or forgiveness from us. Now, that's the colloquial, unhealed, popular, unawakened term. They're going to need a pardon from us, in their opinion, because they don't know how to forgive themselves, because forgiveness is something you give yourself. What you get from another person is a pardon. Okay, you're also going to need some closure. Closure is something you provide yourself. You don't get it from another person. You can leave somebody and still love them. That just means you cut off contact. Okay, you take away anything that reminds you about them. Okay, you acknowledge your feelings. Okay, you also understand eventually, not usually right away, why you had to leave and what it is you want to replicate like them similar in the next relationship. For instance, I like a very certain type, I like a very certain energy, but a lot of times it doesn't work out. Because me personally, I'm healing, I'm really on it lately though. But prior to 6 months ago, I was still somewhat unhealed, very distorted, and a hot mess, most particularly, certainly. And I only just now made a quantum leap, but there's still remnants of old, lower vibrations, old energies that I'm shaking off. I might not be attracting more, but I'm still carrying a little bit of something, right? So what'll happen is somebody come into my life 2-3 weeks, I'll date them, and then, you know, gotta let them go, gotta let it go, whatever. Okay, and so the prayer, the intention, the manifestation is like, hey, great spirit. I usually say, you know, mama, baba. That's kind of how I talk to God and the goddess. God being the great spirit, the goddess being the divine grace. I'll say, you know, oh, I love that. I want to manifest something like that or better. I want to manifest somebody who looks like this or better. So it's fine if something comes into your life and you can't be with it, you can't manifest it. It's not about holding on. If you need to hold on to anything, it means you're not in alignment. It means that you have what's called an external locus of control. It means that your happiness is dependent on something outside of yourself. Honestly, honey, if you can't lean back into the divine, go back to the divine grace of the universe to get every single thing you need, money, romance, etc., something's off. There's distortion, there's unhealed, okay? Something's wounded and you're operating out of your wounds. That's another kind of abstract version of like a vulnerable narcissist. A vulnerable narc or that toxic personality style is somebody who's vulnerable to feedback, critique, or distortions, meaning if it's not a flow, it's not a go. But if something is not a flow outside of you and it gets reflected to you, you'll change yourself. That's that disorganized attachment style. You may be this disorganized attachment style is insecure, number one, and number two, it's like you may be generally attached style avoidant, or your general attachment style may be anxious. But when you get in a connection, you may flip-flop, meaning you don't stand for anything, so you'll fall for it. You don't stand for something, so you'll fall for anything, okay? So remember, this heart-to-heart conversation, they're gonna come back. You should probably just tell them no and let them respond. And then they might solicit something out of you. And really for me is I'll go an extra mile if you've been going 2, 3, 5 miles on your own. I'll meet you halfway if you are attempting to meet me halfway. So if you take 2 steps, I'll actually take 5, but that's because I'm a healer. But that's because my love is unconditional. My tolerance is not, my respect is not. Does that make sense? And to me, 4 things are required in a connection for me to keep putting into it. I need to like you, I need to love you, I need to trust you, I need to respect you. Now, usually if it's a connection that's no longer around, it's the 25%, which means love, because I will always love you unconditionally, period. It's not anything other than you being you for me to love you. If we got a chance to get to know each other, if our energy came together at one moment and then dispersed at another moment, you got my love, that's never gonna leave. But my tolerance is not unconditional. My respect is not unconditional. And unfortunately, if you have 25% in a class, you don't pass. If you have 50% in a class, you don't pass. You need 75%, but I'm a queen, I'm a diva, I have high standards. So I need 91+% in order for me to stick around, because that's what I deserve. And I'm not going to lower my standards or boundaries or step off my throne just to soothe somebody else's feelings. And I don't need a person. A man is not a plan. I don't need somebody to feel good. I might be alone, but I'm most definitely not lonely. I got my cat, I got my God, I got my turkey sandwiches, I got my bed, my baths, I'm good to go. I got my altar, I'm good to go. I got my tarot cards, I'm good to go. You know, and if somebody wants to come around and improve that, great. Elevate that, great. You know, increase the vibration on that, great. But if somebody wants to come in shucking and jiving, massaging and assuaging, trying to hide the facts or obscure the facts just to get a connection with me, or trying to bully me or bait me just to make me feel less than, so I'm accessible and available to them, that's not going to happen. And it's okay. It's okay if these people, you know, are in their wounded, you know, inner child, and they're using these tactics to, you know, solicit guilt or have some kind of, does that make sense? So this vulnerable narcissism is vulnerable toxicity is somebody who is vulnerable to critique and feedback, okay? In a covert is somebody who basically they're fueled by their own brokenness, but they're looking for supply. Okay, I'm trying not to use the narc word too much. It's ultimately what's called an antagonistic personality style, which is predominantly 2 different kinds: high conflict or toxic. So the toxicity is rigid, maladaptive, okay? And that predicates all these other things, but rigid and maladaptive, okay? So that's typically more of that narc word. And then we have high conflict, which is just somebody that, you know, gets incensed easily and they project their issue outside versus inside. And that's usually predicated on a very poor, distorted, maladaptive, idiosyncratic, perfunctory, extemporaneous view of the self, but it's not rigid and maladaptive. Meaning once they see themselves, they're willing to change and they will have a bit of an overcorrection. But this, toxic personality style, this is under the antagonistic personality style. They're rigid and maladaptive in their ways, so they're not going to change that quickly. And the thing about it is, like, if it's a narc situation, it's a reverse relationship, meaning you feel more loved in the beginning of the relationship than you do in the end of the relationship. Okay. Now, I don't want to go too much into all this theory, technique, technology. This is not a class. Okay. We're going to do this. We have this heart-to-heart communication. Somebody's going to need closure. Somebody's going to need forgiveness. That's another word for pardon. That's another word for an explanation. And as I was saying before, you need to have more than 25% of this. So do you respect them? Great. Do you love them? Great. Why would you respect them or restore respect? Because they are starting to own the experience. They might not be responsible for every behavior, every outcome. Like for me, but for instance, up until recently, I was very ignorant, very immature, very naive, basically innocent. And a lot of breakdowns were happening in my relationships over the last 5, 7+ years. And I would always run and try to like explain, hey, this came up to the surface. There was this unhealed trauma, da, 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 da. But, I needed to, and I don't want to say that I wasn't, but there's a difference between responsibility and accountability. I would do better in those times if I knew better. Okay. What I wasn't always saying, hey, this is the outcome that we arrived at. I'm sorry for that. Hey, it might not be my fault, but it is my responsibility. I can be accountable for contributing to that experience. Hey, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I didn't know any better, but yeah, I did hurt your feelings. That you hear accountability and responsibility. Okay. Hey, I hurt your feelings. Accountability. I didn't know any better. Responsibility. But I'm sorry that I contributed to this adverse reaction, this adverse conclusion, this adverse outcome in our connection. Does that make sense? So you need to hear accountability there, even if there's not a lot of responsibility. Otherwise, there's really no respect, especially from a female to a male. If there's not accountability, there's gonna be no respect. A woman can forgive a lot. A man doesn't need to be responsible for everything that's going on, because you can't hold somebody accountable until you take the time to make them accountable. If you don't tell them to take the trash out twice a week, or when you see that it's full, or if there's a stack of dishes by the sink, your expectation is that they wash them. You can't be upset that they don't, believe it or not. Common things are not that common. Common sense is not that common. Things that go without saying need to be said once or twice. Things that are obvious need to be made obvious. Does that make sense? So the 4 things are love, respect, trust, and love, like, respect, trust. You need, you can't work with 25%. That means the person is regressive and remedial. To me, 50% is not for a queen. So if they're not, if they don't even meet half your standards, no, because then you are arguing with fools, you're explaining yourself to idiots, you're entertaining yourself in front of imbeciles, and you're keeping the company of morons. Okay, but if they are suddenly 75% of the way there, okay, homie, I ain't gonna get back with you, but I'll explain a few things to you. I'll give you 2 or 3 moments. And remember, the moment they're arguing with you about your boundaries and standards, cut them off and move on. And it's difficult because you need to build that muscle. But let me tell you, my darling child, please listen to mama. If you are bending over backwards, or if you are cutting your standards and boundaries in half just to feel connected to somebody, no. Now, there is a time when you're like, okay, I ain't fucking sucking on you, excuse my language. We're not copulating anymore. I'm gonna augment, I'm gonna evolve, I'm gonna transition this relationship to one of healing. So we're not lovers. You're now my spiritual child, and I'll be around every once in a while as a mentor, an advisor, a guide, maybe even a model about what a healing looks like or what a healing process might be for you. again, but that's when you'll accept the 50%. The 75% is when this person wants to come back into your life to recapture, rekindle, reclaim something that they lost. Let's hope that they didn't throw it away and wipe their ass with it. Okay, let's hope they didn't throw you down the gutter, throw you in the gutter, throw you down the garbage disposal, throw you in the garbage and expect come back and recuperate, rekindle, reclaim, recapture something, because that's always going to be a no. If you didn't see my value at the time and now you do and you want to come back, you have to understand my price has gone up. And unfortunately, if you didn't have front row tickets to my suffering, you're not going to get VIP tickets to my success. You're going to have to sit in the back of the audience, if that even, because you're not getting backstage passes. And that's if you are massively different than you are now. There's a lot of people that I was with 5, 6, 7 years ago that now they realize I'm on YouTube, or now they realize that I have certain access to certain things, or they realize that I'm an operator, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker, that I'm sophisticated, that I'm dynamic. Then they want to come back. They thought I was a chump. They thought I was weak, meek. They thought I was nothing. And I tried to explain to them back there. And that's another thing as well. A queen never complains, never explains. A king never begs, never chases. A princess always asks, always requests, does not ask. And a prince always commands and does not demand. Does that make sense? And whenever you do come off the throne as a king or queen, you revert back to the prince or the princess. So on the rare times when a queen is explaining herself, usually it's to a family member or somebody that meets that 75% rule. We have only one of the 4 things missing, and the 4 things are what? Trust, respect, loving, and liking. Okay. If you do have to come off the throne, on the rare example, again, you act like a princess then when you can't be a queen. So if you do have to complain or explain, you complain to your children, you explain to former people that used to be in your life of significant value. So this is, I know it sounds like Ablosi and her Sacred Living Institute. Okay, yes, and these are principles, these are tactics that I learned from people that I value greatly and respect dearly. These were millionaires and billionaires that taught me these things. Very rarely do I squat down and shit out these kinds of theories, techniques, and technologies. I want you to know I learned them from somewhere. The only thing that I do differently than other people is I study all day, every day. My life is committed to divination and occultism. Okay, that's true. And I ask very big questions and I find very good teachers. But if I can do it, you can do it. Don't look at me and think I'm fancy and think that it's impossible for you. That's some bullshit. Perhaps I have skills, techniques, talents that you don't, but you can find your own talent and be just as balling as I am. Okay. So if on the rare happenstance that you do find yourself explaining, you do find yourself complaining, complain to your children, explain to a former lover, okay, honey? It's a boss, a business, unless they're paying you like a client or something, don't explain. But if you do find yourself in the rare circumstance where you're explaining, do it as a princess. Make a request, don't ask. Let me give you an example. This is a current problem that I have often, and it's going to plague my life because I'm an Aquarian moon. Dear, I'm not very available to spontaneous communications. I require a lot of alone time and personal space. I'm going to need this from you or I can't sustain this connection. Versus, I can really only get back on the phone every other day or so. I really can't do too many back and forth messages. Do you hear the difference? Darling, I'm really not available for a spontaneous phone call or a knock on the door. I'm going to need you to announce yourself 36 plus hours in advance, preferably. I'll take 12 or 24. Versus, so do you see request versus ask? Okay, now let's go with the masculine example. In my house, in my kingdom, in my retinue, in my environment surrounding location, These are my standards. This is what I require from you. Nothing less will be acceptable. Versus, would you please, could you please, can we try again? Or you know what, I need to explain to you. I need to come to you. These are my standards. This is what I require. Nothing less will do. This is what I require of you. Nothing less will do. Do you hear the difference? So a king never begs, never chases. Now, if you F up with the divine feminine, you might have to get off your throne and take a knee and understand that as the king, you are the chief servant, and you may have to throw your head down on that sword for your community, for your people. Unlike the queen, the king must be willing to die for the nation, or you're really not a king. So there's some higher laws there, but this is not a class. This is actually an oracle reading. Okay, so these heart-to-heart communications is because I use religious factors with policy, procedure, and protocol. Come in correct. It may be, you know, your love life is influenced by religious upbringing and the spiritual path. What I sense there is that when a man is showing up, he's not just dating you, he's dating your spirit. You are a sacred vessel in divine service to the sacred, you know, to the holy grace of the universe. You know, you have what's called God duties and responsibilities. It's not about, are you Vodun? It's not about, are you Orisha, Yoruba? It's not about, you know, are you Jewish? Are you, you know, did you take Shahadat? Whatever, you know, it's like you have God duties and responsibilities. Whatever you place before your God, you will lose. And when you show up to date me, you're also dating my spirit. So, you know, if you don't come correct like that, we won't have problems. You're going to be scooted out of my life. And unfortunately, if I chase after you, I'm going to get a whooping from the grace, from the divine spirit. Okay. So pay attention to the red flags, because you may or may not need to make the effort. If this person is coming in, not taking accountability for their behavior, sitting there telling you their intention, wanting you to excuse their behavior because of their trauma, because you judge yourself on your intention, you judge other people on their behavior. I said differently, you judge yourself on your intention, other people judge you on your impact, meaning how did your behavior affect their life and what were the outcomes from said behaviors? You might not have known better, meaning the responsibility is kind of halved. Okay, but you should recognize the opportunity, the responsibility, or the need to do better, and that's called accountability. Okay, so for some of us, we have heart-to-heart communications because of religious factors. There's a way to show up with us. There's a policy, procedure, protocol, a means, mechanism, methodology, a system, structure, foundation, a theory, technique, technology. There's rules, regulations, and restrictions on how people can come in to your life, enter into your life, and can continue entering in, which means remain approachable, remain accessible, and maintain access. It's like momentum. First, you create momentum, then you build momentum, then you grow momentum, then you sustain momentum. And it's one thing after the next, after the next. It's not the, you create momentum, all of a sudden you're sustaining momentum. No, you need to be intentional in between, which is the growing and the building. You create it, then you sustain it, but in the middle, there's the growing and the building, and that requires an intention. How do you grow? How do you sustain? You need an intention. You need to know and recognize what's going on, what's valuable to you, and how you're going to repeat these things, which means nothing should be happening by accident. There should be intention. And see, this is when you get into the place of having healed trauma, because you're never healed, you're healing. Okay, but you might no longer be in your wounded inner child. You might no longer be in your distorted union. Because first you have a union, which is a sacred union, which means you're in love with God, you're connected to God. And then that sacred union will anchor into the physical through a member of the soul group. So you evolve from a sacred union, a spiritual union, into a physical union. So this heart-to-heart communications, religious factors, you might provide closure, you might provide forgiveness, pardon, the behavior, if they are willing to understand that you are a spirit in a human form. Okay, so the religious factors doesn't have to be about religion, it just is about coming correct. It's respect and spirituality, because they need to be making the effort. So if they're not making the effort, that's a red flag, and you don't need to explain anything. Okay. So we had a heavy duty little explanation, and I do have some cards here. We were using the Orisha. I said that, but it's not true. We were using, because it's not Petra, which is Orisha. It's not Radha, which is Voodoo and West African Voodoo. This is the Congo, which is mixed with, it's the Haitian and the New Orleans. It's just mixed with syncretism. That's yeah. So this is the New Orleans Voodoo, not the Orisha. And we have Ilegua, which is the 6 of Pentacles. We have the Zombie, which is the Hangman. We have Le Belen, which is the 4 of Cups. And then we have the Mirror here, which is the Moon card. Okay, so yeah, we might open the door to them, but you know, this is dependent on other energies. So again, with the Hangman and the 6 of Pentacles here, it's dependent on other energies. It's fair, but it's equal and it's balanced. You're not going to give away all your money. You're not going to give away all your treats. You're not going to give away all your goodies. But if they deserve it, you're going to give it to them. Does that make sense? 4 of Cups, Belen here. So yeah, you're going to be loving, nurturing, caring, kind, compassionate, but it still might be lukewarm, tepid. You might be repulsed. You might be bored. You might be unsatisfied. It might be underwhelming. It might be uninteresting. You might want to remain unbothered. With the Moon card, there will be a lot of deep emotions. They may be emotional. That was that narc energy I was telling you about, the vulnerable or covert narc, which means they may appear covert, they may appear weak, they may appear pitiful, they may be fueled by their own brokenness, but it's really because they need some kind of supply. If they don't come through, pull through, and make some type of offer, 7 of Pentacles. Here it's Oshun, Santeria 7, Sete Denari. If they don't come through with clearly having done the work, clearly saying, hey, here's what I can offer, here's what I know, what can you provide? What is this clarity, closure that I'm looking for you? If they can't articulate some abstract version of that, even if it's halfway, it's a no. It's a no. 2 of yeah, 2 of Cups here. You know, this is saying we have a relationship with the individual world. We have a relationship in invisible world. We have a relationship with the divine grace. So we have enough. We can look towards the east, we can look towards the sun and be satiated, be fulfilled. You know, we have everything we need. We're sipping on our tea and we have our palm fronds right there. We don't need a man. A man is not a plan. We may be alone, but we're not lonely. So when they come through, they're going to need to give substance. They're going to need to have soul. And in the next week or so, they're going to try to get some kind of love connection going on. And okay, whatever. You know, it also is saying that a lot of us are mamisi, mami wata, you know, mami wata priestesses, le siren, you know, a lot of us are mermaids, dolphins, a lot of us are river or ocean spirits, a lot of us are mami. You know, for me, I say ago marusep polisa budun dan mami chamba tog belangpa tog belegba. So, you know, a lot of us are mamisis, and we're in deeper and deeper and deeper connection with that energy. Okay, so again, these are problems that we have. Oshun is the beauty that should enjoy her life, but she's always plagued by problems. Yemaya is the beauty that is as blessed with life, but doesn't actually enjoy it herself. She's sharing it with others. Usually because she's already had a child or something, so she's not worried about being a maiden, being a virgin. Virgin means self-sustaining. It doesn't necessarily mean chaste. Okay, so 3 of Wands. So something's starting. They might want to, you know, copulation or whatever, but they are definitely coming forward, and it's a call out. So here it says ancestors, but it's the Judgment card. When you have the 3 of Wands and the Judgment card, somebody's coming. Somebody's going to call something out. You may get a call on the phone. They may send an email. They may make some type of declaration. I'm getting Facebook, Instagram. Nine of Swords. So that means here they're coming towards you. Masa here, it's literally talking about starting or ending a ceremony. So they know they need to do this. They know they need to have this difficult thing, whatever, what have you. They're being compelled to come forward. Five of Cups. Here it's Ogun Balandio. You know, when I see that, I always think of Ogun Alala. They need a way in, or they need to service or surrender to this loss. They've been carrying around this wound. Five of Cups, they're feeling, you know, wounded in some kind of way, a loss. They might be grieving, they might be mourning, they might have regret, they might have remorse. Okay, and now we have, so again, I'm just getting a very phallic energy. They want to fuck, man. And that's a no. With the Seven of Pentacles here, that's an agenda. Seven of Pentacles, Oshun, that's an agenda. Because we did cry because of this. We did cry. Her tears are becoming a river. So we did, it's the shock of a loss, the shock of a disappointment, the shock of there was something ulterior. It might not necessarily have been deceit, but we do have two sevens here, so it's most likely it was. But they could have just been not showing up properly, but they would know. They had self-deception. And then we have Debonange here, so that's your soul, angelic, pure, blissful, at peace, healed. So we're in our healing, and over the next week, we're gonna go, we're in the next week or so, we're gonna see just how deeply we've healed. And that requires, you know, God do these responsibilities. It requires us to work from that space, work from that place. It's the Eight of Pentacles here. It's called Shango. In Voodoo, we say Javioso. Okay, Mr. H. So now we have this crochet here. It's the Hermit. So yeah, we've withdrawn our energy, reflected onto the self, moved inwards towards soul's wisdom. We've connected with the all that is, the universal oneness. And a lot of people ain't got no nothing for us. Towards the weekend or in the next couple of days, we're gonna see just all the things we didn't know, just all the places where we were ignorant, just all the places where we were allowing ourselves to be lied to. And now with the world egg here, the slate has been wiped clean. We've had a new beginning. Especially, we're moving into our God given responsibilities. We're aligning with the self. Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Fool card. So that means that we have accomplished something, completed something, achieved something. We won in some kind of way, and now the slate has been wiped clean. We're moving forward. There's a lot of things have been wrapped up, and we're now looking at beginning a lot of new things. So secret societies, that's the Il Justicia, La Justicia, the justice card. So in the next couple of days or so, again, so this is karmic justice, Seven of Swords with the justice card, because something got out of hand, the Diablo, the devil. There was some kind of karma. There was some kind of a miscarriage of justice with the devil card here. Something really bad happened. I think we gave our power away in some kind of way. We gave somebody the right to disrespect us. Marasa, the Lover's card, and that's Ibeyi. Okay, in Vudun, it's Hoho, Tahoso Hoho. Okay, so remember I was talking about Mamiwata, it's the river and the ocean priestesses. Okay, because of the deluge, meaning this person's having shocking awareness. Whoever's coming here, they're realizing that they should have committed to you, that you were always, always, always the one, and that we were always, always, always the one. And see the Queen of Pentacles here, the Queen of Pentacles, the Santeria, you know, Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. If you mess with that woman, first of all, it's the dose that makes the poison, and she ain't got to do no nothing. If she's really Radasi, if she's really a Blola Sojima Mirada, and she's just coming off Santeria because maybe, you know, she does herbs or roots or candles, or she's here in the new world, not in the old world, not in the sacred world, not back home at the root, but she's out here in the diaspora, you know, but she's committed, she's faithful, she's loving, nurturing, caring, kind, she's devoted. It's a very big mistake to reject or to disrespect her, not her affections, because you could turn a woman down when they're trying to be affectionate towards you, but If you get a woman's love stirred and you make her feel like she should commit herself to you on any way, shape, form, or another, healing or intimacy, and that's disrespected, hell has the fury of God. And the thing is, for most real queens, they don't have to do anything. Karma will do it itself. And we do have the Justice card and the Lovers card. So unless somebody here is a Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Moon, it's dire circumstances because some sacred child, chosen child, was disrespected. And we're needing to move to a sense of healing, a sense of peace, but the ancestors are going to do this first, and we're going to return to the scene of the crime here, because that was always going to happen with the Ace of Swords, the Nine of Cups, the 10 of Cups, and the 6 of Cups. That's returning to the scene of the crime. Somebody's got to go back to the beginning and realize where they lost their dang mind, where things got all effed up. Because now it's a ship over troubled waters. They have to go back in knowing that they're going to be at a loss. Four of Swords, that not everything is going to be, because they need to ask for forgiveness. They need to get a pardon. But we're going to be dealing with a snake. We're going to be dealing with somebody that's toxic. And maybe they're not toxic, but they're going to over-apply some kind of force because they're still in some kind of distortion that's still healed. So remember that 75% rule, okay? It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Let me go ahead and see what other little energies I can pull out of this. I'm hearing that song by SZA, Weekend, no, no. So I think somebody's coming through on the weekend. I think I got it covered for the weekend, no, no. I don't know all the words. I don't really listen to R&B or whatever, but I do browse through that. Every week Spotify puts a list of the top 40 or 50 songs, and I'll catch an artist for a couple days through there, then I got to turn it off and put on some non-word music. Okay. So I think somebody might have also had some kind of entanglement. Somebody might have been enmeshed, taken over. Okay. Yeah, hold on. There was a bigger picture. Somebody kept us as an option, not a choice. And they came back through once or twice, or they kept coming back in back then because whatever reason, and it didn't go because it was not a flow, it's not a go. The respect wasn't there. Spirit had to intervene. Now they're coming through, and they're gonna let pride get in the way, because they see the real us now. And we know, we can feel the energy mounting in the background. A personal issue reaches resolution. We can feel the energy mounting in the background. But it's a closure type situation. It's really not, most of us are not going to rekindle. You can have it your way. I think I got it covered for the weekend. No, no. Yeah, that's just what I'm hearing. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable because we're going to have to do something different than what we've done before. We're going to have to say, I can see that you're healing. I can see that you're learning your lessons. I can see that you're really sincere. And I'm also not available, not accessible, not approachable anymore for this. You don't have access to me anymore. I can acknowledge what you're saying, acknowledge that you're healing, acknowledge that you've been doing your work, and I can let you go and move on. You know, you're forgiven. Peace be upon you. Blessings on your journey. Blessings to your day. Wa alaikum. Blessings to your life. I'm out. We can be like that. I'm hearing that song by SZA, The Weekend. Okay, your dreams need a practical plan. I'm just hearing, know what you want to manifest in life because it's coming, but this is kind of a test to see if you've released those energies. Working through fear, fiery climax approaches, they're going to get upset, bring love into this situation. So lovingly let them go. For the weekend, no, no. And they're probably going to come through like in the next couple of days. That's what the weekend means, especially with the Three of Wands coming and that Judgment card. Il Giustizio. I think I got it covered for the weekend. No. We got it. Seeker. So they definitely need clarity, closure, some kind of forgiveness, some kind of pardon. Instead of an inability to commit to a path once found, they have a thirst for wisdom whenever and wherever they are. So what that tells me is a lover, prostitute, rebel. So they were in a situationship, and every time there was a break, every time there was a lull, they came back towards us. And somehow the energy repelled them because their vibration wasn't high, or they were in some kind of distorted effery, fuckery is what I'm hearing, fuckery. And they got up out of that and they started to do some healing. They might have been betrayed, deceived, and they're maturing from that. And they may not be in the manipulation energy anymore, okay? Okay, but what that means for them, because we also have lover, prostitute, and rebel. So they sacrificed their everything for something right now. Whatever was right in front of them, whatever looked like the grass is greener, whatever looked like the whole low-hanging fruit, they went towards that, they went for that, and it got them effed up. Now, they're rebelling. They're having to shift, they're having to change, they're having to be bigger, brighter, better. They're having to act different, do different, be different. They were placing some type of consideration over, so they sacrificed this divine connection for something that was toxic, distorted, karmic. They were rejecting things or stonewalling things out of anger and maturity. They might have also been pressured, bowing to pressure versus challenging, usually authority, to affect social change, rejecting spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. And it might be because they are a father, or they might have been effed up by their daddy. Whatever wounding, inner healing, inner child wounds is because of Papa. I'm just hearing that SZA song. I'm getting that they're gonna come around in the weekend, or on the weekends. They look at our Instagram. La Fache book, the book of face, the Facebook. So their person doesn't even care what they do. Their person, if they had a person, dilettante. They were really, okay, so remember I was saying about accountability versus responsibility? They were ignorant, naive, innocent, immature, some abstract version of all of those, maybe not all of those, okay? They were deaf, dumb, blind, and fucking stupid is what I'm hearing. It's my mama. Excuse my language, the language. That's what I'm hearing. So yeah, but again, dilettante and child eternal. We were naive, innocent, immature, ignorant, innocent. Dilettante. We were showing up without really having a good idea what was going on. We were dabbling. Okay. Yeah, so see, we're loving, nurturing, caring, and kind. And again, this Queen of Pentacles, this the mother. But look, we have redeemed and awakened versus fallen and sunken. So they were in a sunken place. This is them. They were in a sunken place. They were pinned down in some type of situationship. And they needed to learn. They really needed to heal. This is a sign of healing. 2 green cards, they're in a sign of healing because they were in the physical. Remember, we had the prostitute as well. They were very maladaptive, idiosyncratic, perfunctory, extemporaneous. They were very myopic. They could only see what was in front of them. They had a whole list of reasons and no list of results. And they were all up in their stinking thinking, maladaptive personality style, maladaptive ideology. It was extemporaneous, contemporaneous. It wasn't reflective at or around the time of the event. It was very retroactive. And that was poor because they missed a lot that could have been seen if they had just, you know, been a bigger, brighter, better person and processed at or near the time of the event, which actually is another word for accountability, responsibility. Because you can do something effed up, but you can't do effed up things. Every once in a while, you might make a mistake, but if you're full of mistakes, if you are saying sorry all the time, you're a sorry damn fool. Okay, so this is what I'm getting. I think I got it covered for the weekend. No. I don't know what's up with that song. I don't know much about that song. Okay, so apples to oranges, you got to compare to compete. So first of all, if they were deceptive or toxic at all, they have the wrong victim profile. They mistake, misunderstand, mislabel, misjudge, misperceive their victims or their targets or their subject. What do you feel? Yeah, we're going on feelings, but that's also the thing as well, because we might have felt that there was a connection, but if they weren't saying it, if we might have felt that there was a soulmate tie, but if they weren't affirming it, that was also just as important. Because if I was a manifestation, the perfection of your life, you see that? So if they weren't willing or able to manifest the connection, we were seeing it, we could reflect and we had an understanding. Yeah. So the ancestors are what blocked it, not God. The ancestors blocked this connection with this person because they were not showing up in a way. There were too many red flags that we weren't willing to see because we were basically just beyond able to see ourselves. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege and the pleasure to do so. If anything I said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Book a session, leave a review, send a donation, please, and thank you. Talk to you soon. Thank you for all your love, kindness, support, the A1s, all the day ones. I want to honor you. I want to praise you. I want to thank you. Take good care until we meet again, until we meet again. Namaste, Dandava, and Ashe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.